Hello, Narnach here. Welcome back to Path of Exile, Atlas of Worlds. Today we're gonna run the tier 8 map, the Barrows. But before we do that, there's a couple of build upgrades I want to go over. Because I've been running maps for over the weekend. And I had one really lucky map that dropped multiple uniques and an exalted orb. And of course, exalted orbs means time to start shopping. So, first up, Rumi's Concoction dropped for me. I was actually lucky enough to get it. And this is a pretty decent roll. So it's a granite flask, so we get a bunch of armor, but it also gives us a chance to block. And it gives us a spell block during its flask effect. So, granite flask replaced with Rumi's. Very nice. Next up, the exalted orb. I already had some stuff saved up. So, together with the new Exalt, I was able to trade for Rigwall's Savagery. This has been one of my endgame items that I was aiming for together with Rigwall's command. So, we got this a couple of episodes ago. It's the part of the Rigwall's weapon set. This is the blade and it boosts the physical damage with access. And it gets us a frenzy charge on kill. Rigwall's Savagery, besides containing a boatload of physical damage, it will increase the physical weapon damage while dual wielding. We are dual wielding, so that's good. It has increased attack speed and it increases our attack speed with swords. So this axe boosts the attack speed of our sword and our sword boosts the damage of our axe. And on top of that, this also causes bleeding, just like Jack the Axe did. And upgrading from Jack the Axe to Rigwall's Savagery gained me, we went up from 8,000 DPS to 10,000 DPS at rest. Okay, so next up, I've been just experimenting with some changes to the build. And one of the things is Herald of Ash. We are using a double blasphemy setup to reserve 70% of our mana to get dual curses. We got Enfeeble, we got Temporal Change. So adding Herald of Ash on top gets us to 95% reserved mana, which is a lot. But I made some changes to the skill tree to make it work. So if I hadn't made those skill tree changes, we would have had 32 mana available out of our mana pool, which is enough to use Lacerate. It's enough to jump, it's enough for the Warcry and for the totem, but we couldn't cast our golem without juggling some things around, so that was annoying. So I started looking at the skill tree. We are not really using our endurance charges. We generate them, of course. We have our Outmatch and Outlast over here as one of our Ascendancy upgrades. So we get a 25% chance to gain Frenzy or Endurance charges on kill, depending on if we use the main or offhand to make the killing blow. Our weapon gets us another 15% chance to generate Frenzy charges. So Frenzy charges is pretty easy for us to hit our current maximum of 4 charges. And I really find myself wishing I hadn't gotten a bonus to Endurance charges from Oak in Merciless, but rather gotten the +1 to Frenzy charges from Kraken. And as soon as I got myself 20 Orbs of Regret, I'm actually gonna use the respec recipe to get myself a respec for that one, so I actually will go up to 5 Frenzy charges. But Orbs of Regret, they are rather expensive and they don't drop all that often, so that's gonna be a over time a project. But given that we basically never hit our maximum endurance charges, I figured let's refund these 2 points, and on top of that refund the travel note we have over here and get ourselves Champion of the Cause. This gets us something that's not useful, increased effect of a non-curse aura. We have 2 curse auras, and Herald of Ash, while it reserves mana, it's not an aura. It's just a spell that preserves mana. So that's not affected. The increased area of effect for aura skills is useful for Blasphemy. And Champion of the Cause further boosts the radius of our Blasphemy curses, but it also gives us 4% reduced mana reserved. So from every skill that reserves something, it nibbles 1% off. That's the net effect. So currently we are reserving 92% of our mana rather than 95, and therefore we got 62 mana to play around with. And I've run a couple maps already, And mana is not an issue. We currently regenerate 25 points mana per second. On top of that, we have Leech. 0.8% of all our damage is leeched back as life, as mana, I mean. And that's more than enough. Worst case, we slow down a little bit if we're not actually hitting things, but most of the time we are hitting things, and things go swimmingly. So those are the build upgrades. We are currently level 85. I did gain a level over the while leveling. And that's our current state of affairs. So we are now with Herald of Ash active, 11.2 thousand damage at rest. If we plop down our totem, we go up to 13,000, well 13.1 to be specifically. And if we also drink Atziri's Promise and our Silver Flask, with the totem we go up to 17.3 thousand, and with our frenzy charges we can push it all the way up to 21,000 if I remember correctly. But rather than remembering, let's actually have a look. Let's play a map. We're gonna do the Barrows. We are cursed with elemental weakness. Monsters have more life, they resist cold, they can't be stunned, and they take reduced extra damage from crits. The bottom three don't affect us. More monster life and elemental weakness on us does affect us to a certain degree. But I don't think it's going to be overly bad. Let's have a look.
Man burrows for only the eternal hibernation.
Okay, interesting. We're in a bit of a hole in the ground. In a forest area. So the Herald of Ash, of course, besides adding 15% of our physical damage on top as extra elemental damage, we also gain overkill damage, which gets turned into a nice explosion. And because I've applied a Herald of the ghostly Herald of Ash to it, we get nice green explosions on top of the bloody explosions we already cause. So it's even more area of effect damage than we already had. Hey, it's the Innsbury Edge, isn't it? Yes. I really like the look of this sword. Nice purple glow. I think this is my second one, so I might even do something with dual wielding it, just to have a fun looking character. And our explosions are rather satisfying. I think our base damage went up quite a bit. I can still remember where, I think it's less than 10 episodes ago, we were dealing a base damage of 5,000 TPS, just unbuffed or anything. And now our base damage is over 10,000 already. Or should I say it's over 9,000. Sure, probably one of you had that reference in mind, so yeah, if you. So more damage means more leech, which is also good, because leech helps us staying alive. Jack the Axe as our sidearm. While it did give us leech, it also cut down all our leeching in half as one of the effects. In addition to being really stubborn possessed axe, it also reduced all our leeching by half. So currently we are leeching at double effectiveness compared to before. So more damage, more leech, more sustain to go all around. And I even ran the cells map, the one that you might still remember, which has Megara, the Fire Witch, as the boss. And she summons those really deadly firestorms that do a boatload of damage. I did see there was a tubed thing there. And despite being relatively able to hold my own, I can't tank her still. She still does just way too freaking much damage. But while my flasks are up, to a certain degree, I can actually stay in there and just slowly get ground down. So I think with a slightly larger life pool and maybe another 20% more DPS, we might even be able to tank against Megara. But that's gonna be a tough fight. Just as an indication that we really did gain quite some power, and it does help in a noticeable way against certain boss fights. But though Megara is still very dangerous, so if you're playing against her on hardcore, be careful. Really, really do be careful. I like how there's an underground labyrinth maze kind of thing here. Or just a random tomb. Cool. Just a random tomb. No boss fight or anything in specific, just a tomb. So this... Okay, there was another similar map, Memory of Home. I think we've already had it.
The raids have become an
That's
almost
the box.
The neighborhood is changing. Septimus and his family have not been seen for a week, and I fear the rumors of a High Templar's secret trials and exile.
I think we've already done this one before. Just looking for the final Shaper fragments we haven't had yet, so we can progress with the storyline. So it could be that now they've got a couple for white maps, a couple for yellow maps, a couple for red maps. That would also be a possibility, of course. I got distracted by the lore, so there was another map that also had some tombs. Could be catacombs or something like that. And there I did make the analogy to Diablo 2 at the end of Act 2. It was this nice desert area that had the tombs of Tarasha in there. And there were 7 false tombs and 1 real one. I wonder if this is a similar thing. That there's just multiple tombs and one is the real one and all the other ones are just there as decoys. Potentially, no, but maybe some interesting encounters in there, but that's the actual boss we're looking for. But we shall see. Ooh, Bonehelm drops here. That's a map specific unique, or not a unique, a map specific base item. Hence it's showing up in this color on my loot filter. Minions deal 33% increased damage. I believe this is a percentage. There's some variety in there. But 33% increased damage on minions is pretty nice to get from an item. Since there's not a lot of items outside of uniques, specific uniques that actually boost your minion damage. A uniqueness or a immortality totem. Herald of Ash. I like it. It works in the build. As you notice, there's no real mana issues or anything. It added more damage. Ooh, Promenade. I think I still needed that one, so we are lucky on this one. And we made a nice round walk, so let's trace the inner lines now. Well, Herald of Ash, the gem that I had before here, linked to Ancestral Warchief and Stone Golem, was a Fortify, a second Fortify. And I took that one out in order to put the Herald in. No, the golem is less tanky now, the totem is slightly less tanky. They do slightly less damage because of course it was a 20% increased damage multiplier. But I think it's worth it. If we do more damage, that's better than that the golem does more damage. Because in the end it's just there to heal us. Bone helmet. And 32%, so indeed there is a variety to the rolls. I think it's an interesting concept that they have different roles now for some of these items and map specific uniques. It does give you a reason to go to certain areas of the map in order to actually run them. And while initially, you know, it's gonna be a bit of a quest to look for what does what, eventually all that information will be gathered on the wiki, and it's gonna be good. And we will know exactly where we have to go for certain items. And then it's just a matter of specifically farming for it, of course. That's it. So the Leap Slam is also a part of the build that is staying as just our only movement skill. When I changed out, when I took the Willing Blades out in favor of adding Fortify to Leap Slam, so we could take Fortify off of Lacerate, I did say it was something I was gonna try for a couple maps. Well, it's still here, so obviously it's now a fixed part of the build. It works. I hadn't expected that I would like a Leap Slam as a primary movement skill, because I think Wooden Blades is so much fun to use. But it does work. No, we're kind of like a frog. Big green toxic frog, ghostly toxic frog. Though I still need to get a 6 link in here to actually link poison, or whatever we're gonna settle on. I think the chance is that we will grab dirty techniques before I will get enough orbs of fusing to even attempt to roll this into a 6 link. Because I currently got a 5 link going, and I do like the 5 link. And once you start messing with that, once you start rolling for a 6 link, of course there is a chance that you will end up with something that's a 4 link at best. And not even the 5 link you started out with. Okay, I think we have killed all there is to kill. So let's go for the arena. Put a portal here. See what we're gonna face. Ooh, Beast of the Pits. That one looked like it was running and... Let's do all the flasks. Throw them down. Flasks. Ah, we lost our fancy charges, of course, because no kills. So, ow, stones hurt. They really, really do hurt. And there you have it. We cleared the Barrows. And we did pick up the Promenade, which is going to be one of the upcoming maps. Yeah, it's going to be a bit into the future. I think I do have some other ones. So, yeah, we got the Barrows over here. Then we have a bog over there. We still need to do the bog because it's a tier 8, of course. We got a Promenade over there. We just got that. And Overgrown Shrine over here. Reef over there. I think I got the reef already queued up. But anyway, you will see what I got when I'm gonna run it. But for now, I'm gonna thank you very much for watching and I hope to see you again next time. Bye bye.